Family, it's Wednesday. You know what that means. It's me and my girlfriends. Me and my homegirls. We out here. Me and my homegirls. We out here. What's up, family? What's up? What's up? How you guys doing? Oh, it's popping fast. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We going live today, y'all. So excited for today's Me and My Homegirls, y'all. Special edition. I have the woman that has inspired me in every way. So if you guys follow me, if anything that I have done throughout my journey has inspired you or motivated you to also pursue your dreams, trust and believe that this woman right here, she was absolutely my motivation, my inspiration to really live life, a purpose-filled life, and not just settle for whatever life was bringing. So I'm not even going to wait. I'm going to jump right in there. Let's get Pastor Sarah in here today. The Queen Bee, SJ, get her in here. What's up, everybody? What's up, Stefan? Hey, fam.
Hey,
Thank you.
girl.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
It's so good to see you.
I agree. It's been too long. It's been
Way
too
too long.
long.
This
Yeah.
pandemic, I tell you, it's been way too long. But thank you so much for joining me today. I know you have 1,000,001 things on your list of to-dos. Beyond just running your empire, you are launching this new book, Woman Evolve, Breaking Up with Your Fears and Revolutionizing Your Life. And when I tell you, FL, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm going to call her a few things. Okay, so I call her FL, I call her First, I call her BFF in my head, I call her Demon Bully, I call her all of the above. But FL, I must say, the book, Woman Evolve, Breaking Up with Your Fears and Revolutionizing Your Life, is exactly what you coming into my life has done. It has totally given me the strength, the courage to face those things that are called fears, because I'm starting to really realize that they're fake. Okay, fears aren't really real. And ever since you've come into my life, you have challenged me in that way to face the things that I thought were fears in order for me to truly live the purpose-driven life that I just so desired. So I'm so excited for everybody to get an opportunity to know you intimately the way that I do, for them to be able to take a moment to look at their lives, to ask themselves some deep questions so that they're able to truly live the life that they always wanted to live in the first place. So the first question that I have for you, Pastor Sarah, is if you could talk to your old self in your darkest place, where are you and what would you say?
First of all, I see British is on here talking about I love challenging people, and she knows she gonna get a pow for that. Kayla, let me say that being a part of your life and watching you grow has been one of the most beautiful journeys that I have experienced. You have this contagious light about you. When we were looking for people to help us host the events for Woman Evolve, I was like, we need Kayla because Kayla has homegirl appeal. Like, you instantly make us feel like we can say whatever to you, that you won't judge us. You move things along, and yet there's this wisdom and spirituality that is connected to your light that is undeniable. So I want to honor you. Thank you for this. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for stretching yourself and continuing to stretch yourself, because it is a beautiful journey to watch. So I first want to honor you. And to answer your question, I am going back to my darkest moment. I would say that I was sitting at a CPS office in Texas. I was in a toxic relationship. I had cut up. And in the process of me cutting up, I rammed cars. If you've read Lost and Found, this is, not news to you, but I was outside of the home that I was living in at the time. There was someone who was parked outside of the home who was in a relationship with the person I was in a relationship with. And by in a relationship at the time, I was married. And, I just snapped. I lost it because, I was like, what are you doing? And she said, well, I'm waiting on him to finish dinner or something. She said to me crazy. And so I just started like ramming cars. The police came. They called the police on me. The police came and, they're like, what's happening here? And I explained like, this girl has come to our home. And so he told me like, you're going to have to visit CPS to make sure that the kids are taken care of. And it wasn't until I was sitting in the CPS office where I had to really ask myself, like, how far are you going to let this go? Like, how low are you going to go with this? Because right now, you're at a CPS office trying to prove to them that you're a good mother. And is this how you want your story to end? It's like, okay, so you got pregnant at 13, you had your kid at 14, you dropped out of college. Okay, you've gone through all of these things, but it's like, how low are you really going to let this thing take you? And that, in that moment, if I could go back and talk to myself, I think the first thing that I would do is really hug myself. Because so often we want to inspire people to change and we push them. And in the process of pushing them, we miss that what they really want is to be held together. And when we push people when they need to be held together, it doesn't really help them. Mm-hmm. Because it's not that I'm not pushing. I am pushing. I'm trying. It's not that I don't think that I could do better or should do better. I know that. That's why I'm depressed. What I really want is for someone to hold me together. And so I think I would have hugged myself and I would have said, it's okay. It sounds so simple. I think when we ask these questions, we want people to go back in time and preach to themselves. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that I would have preached to myself. I think I would have hugged myself and I would have said, you're okay. It's okay. And that for me would have been faith. We think about faith in these aspects of like having big faith for big things.
Right.
But sometimes it just takes faith to believe that I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I would have embraced myself. I would have loved myself. And from that place of love, I would have dared to believe that I would be okay. And that's why I'm kind of intentional with Woman Evolve. I do believe that most of us, all of us, are living less than who God sees us as. All of us are. That's why he that began that work in us is going to complete it, because we're living less than where we are supposed to be. And I think that I think that we do need to be challenged to grow. I think we do need to be stretched. But I think more than anything, we need to be seen, like to be really deeply seen. And so what I try to do with Woman Evolve events, with the podcast, with the book, is to first say, I see you. I am you. I see you. Like, I'm not talking from this high horse of I've never been there. I want you to know that I see you. And even seeing you, I think you're okay. Even seeing you, I think you're beautiful. Even seeing the rape, I love you. Even seeing the abortion, you're powerful. I see you, and I still think this way about you, because that's how I believe God sees us. And so if I can see you, then maybe you can trust me when I say, I know what you're up against, but I don't believe that it's going to take you out. And here are the tools. Here are the opportunities that I believe can help you facilitate that. So that's my long answer to your question.
No, but that's so good. That's so good, first, because in all actuality, I think that's what's made Woman Evolve so transformational in the lives of women, right? Because we see these women, especially when it comes to pastors, right? Pastors, first ladies, we just see them so polished, and we hear them that, yeah, like, I love you, sis. I got you, sis. I see you, sis. But I think it's something so powerful beyond you just saying, I see you, to also share, these are some of the things that I've been through. I've really been there for real. I've been the teen mom. I've been, the single mom. I've been all of those things that, we feel may shame us or make us withhold from telling our story. Like, you're willing to share your scars. You're willing to share your heart fearlessly. And I think that was the most pivotal thing for me, because I've met amazing women, right? But I've never met them real like this. So I love that, even the way that you started this out. For everybody that didn't know her before, now y'all see real, recognize real, for real. And it's so funny because my friends, like, I would tell them, I'm like, I can't believe, like, I'm on tour with a pastor, being like, Kayla, flaws and all of these things, because like, I didn't grow up in the church like that, right? Like, I didn't have those things, and then it was so many wrong steps that I took that I counted myself out. And the fact that Woman Evolve was a community that not just could relate, but they welcomed me, and they said, sis, not only are we welcome, like, we have a place for you, like, we really do trust you, like, that is so pivotal. And I think, like, for that girl, because so often on Woman Evolve tours, we meet women that are in the church, right? They know their scripture. They know the Lord. They have all the faith in the world in God, but they fail to see or have faith in themselves. What would you say to that girl?
Okay, so I'm looking at the comments. I see Chanel. Chanel, I miss you too. I miss the babies. I want to meet the new baby. Okay, let me stay focused. Having faith in God but not having faith in yourself is real, and it's why a lot of us end up religious but not having relationship. Relationship comes down to us coming to a place where it's beyond I like who you are and I love who you are as God, and more into I trust you to lead me. I trust what you see over what I see. And I don't think that if you haven't mastered this in a human relationship, it's difficult to master it in your relationship with God, because in our human relationships, it's difficult to be led by other people, right? Because like, I don't know that you fully understand what I'm trying to communicate. Like, even from a parental relationship, it's like they have rules and restrictions and boundaries, but it's like, but do you understand who I am and what I need? And so there's this tension and this rebellion that ends up taking place when we are adolescents, because we don't trust ourselves to be led by someone who doesn't fully understand the fullness of who we are. And so this translates into our relationship with God, because the beautiful thing about God loving everybody is that he loves everybody. The complicated thing about God loving everyone is that it's difficult to feel special and unique and seen, and to understand that his love applies in a specific, unique way to you. And so when you have faith in God but not faith in yourself, I think it's a reflection of the faith that you have in God not turning into trust in God. I have faith that you're real. I have faith that you move mountains. I have faith that you created the universe. I know that God is real. That's faith in God. But faith has to then become trust. And trust says, now, if you tell me to do this, or if you're leading me to do this, then I am willing to trust you over what I feel and trust you over who I've been. And so at some point, faith has to turn into trust. I feel this, like, even in my marital relationship, I had faith in who PT was. When I first met him, I had faith in him, in the type of father that he was. I had faith in the type of leader that he was. But when it was time for me to be led as a single mother who had taken care of her children and who had established a life for herself, my faith had to translate into trust, where I can trust you to make financial decisions together, where I can trust you to say, I don't think you should do that. And for me to say, well, I don't really care what you think, I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, to trust that he has a perspective that I don't see. And so I don't think that we can fully master having it in our relationship with God until we practice it with our our relationship with people as well. Maybe it's the opposite. We need to master it with God so that it can show up in our relationship with people. And it's just the simplest things that if it shows up in our relationship with God, it changes and builds trust on top of trust. So if it's like, I need to not listen to this music for a week, I just feel, I feel like I need to clear my mind. Yeah. I feel like I need to put this podcast down for a minute, like whatever that thing is, watching things, calling that person, whatever your thing is, to say, I'm going to just do this. I'm going to step out on faith and trust that this is something that is going to reveal the best version of myself. And then who you become in that moment makes you more prone to trusting again. And so a lot of times we can't trust God with the big things because we haven't yet trusted him with the small things. And so those small things, those little small things, like it sounds silly, but I need to get up early and maximize my time. I need to be more disciplined with my thought life. Those small urgings are the Holy Spirit telling you that I've got a vision of who you can become, but will you trust me enough to sacrifice what you love so that you can become? Because sometimes the things that you love don't develop who you are supposed to be. And there's just one thing I want to say, because you said this and it made me feel like it's important for me to clarify. You said that I share my story fearlessly. And I can't say that I do it fearlessly, but I do it anyway.
Yeah.
But I do it anyway. And I think it's important for us to really differentiate that, because a lot of people will be waiting until the fear is gone to speak up, or waiting until the fear is gone to show up.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's going to show up. Like, I can very easily connect with that girl who was sitting at the CPS office. Yeah. And the idea that this person who has written Woman Evolve was sitting at a CPS office is not the kind of thing that you share fearlessly, but you share it anyway, because it's important for someone who's got a CPS appointment to know that there's still hope for you, So that's it.
Woo! That's good. And see, like, I got to touch on that, and then I got to circle back because there was some good stuff in there. But no, seriously, like, pushing through that whole faith component, like, it's a real thing to do it anyway. But I need to know the strength in which you tapped into, because it's one thing to be like, okay, I'm going to tell y'all I used to be in the club. Okay, I'm going to tell y'all I used to, like, I'm willing to share a little bit. But throughout this Woman Evolve, like, process, this journey, I've been here since the very beginning, and you've shared things that it's like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know where I could find the strength. What is it, or where do you find the strength?
So it's not finding the strength. It's finding the vulnerability. The vulnerability is not just being transparent, because transparency is, I will say anything. But vulnerability is, I can tell my truth without fear that it is connected to my worth or my value. Because it takes strength to be transparent, right? Because you got to open yourself up to be wounded. But it takes vulnerability to really stand in your truth and believe that it's not connected to your worth or value. I don't share anything that I don't believe is connected to my worth or value. If I'm still working, and that's process. That's why you have to be in the process of vulnerability, because when you have experiences that you feel are a direct relationship to your worth. I got pregnant as a teenager. That I feel like that's a direct connection to my worth. You're going through a divorce. You feel like that's a direct connection to your worth. You don't share that, because that's basically saying that I'm on clearance. You know what I mean? But when you're able to separate that this is my experience, but this is not my value. This is my experience, but this is not my identity. When you are able to say that I am this huge assortment of wisdom and wounds and scars and beauty, and that is my identity, not this one singular experience, then you're able to share that without fear or need of people telling you that you're beautiful and that you're okay and that's all right, because you already have come to a place where you believe that this is not a reflection of my worth. And so it's not, I do it, and sometimes I'm nervous to do it, and sometimes I'm afraid to do it. But what gives me peace is that, like, are you making this a connection of your value and your worth? or are you sharing this so that someone else can know that they have value and worth? And when I'm able to separate those things, it makes me strong enough to do it. But it first starts with that vulnerability.
Yeah. Oh, that is so good. Whoo, child. And I am saving it for everybody that's asking. Am I saving this? Yes, child. I'm saving it all. That was so good, first. That was so good. And I don't want to venture too far away from, you were talking about in that evolution and how you have to be intentional and how you have to sacrifice what we may look at as small things, right?
Yeah.
And I find myself, it's so funny. I'm a parent now. And I find myself talking to my kids, and I talk to them about that song, oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see,
Yeah.
ears, what you hear, mouth, what you say. Can we talk about the importance in the evolution of even your media consumption and how that's affected you? Like, you're in media, you have a streaming network. Like, how has that translated over for you and your consumption?
Okay, so I talk about this in Woman Evolve, incidentally. And what I talk about is like God has given us seed, and we have this seed, and we need to bring this seed to fruition. But anyone who does anything with gardening or agriculture will tell you that what makes a seed, what determines whether or not it's going to take root and produce fruit, is environment. You cannot grow certain things in California. You can grow them in Florida, but you can't grow them here. There are some things that will not survive in Texas because the climate is not conducive for the seed. When we talk about media consumption, one of the reasons why that's so important is because there are some environments that cannot bring the seed of God that is down on the inside of you into its full manifestation. And you have to be serious about that when you have made a decision to buckle down and make this thing happen. You don't change your environment when you're still on the bridge. You change your environment when you have come to a place where you have decided, no matter what, I'm going to make sure that this thing happens. And so what do we do then? I need an environment for this seed to flourish. There are some artists that I absolutely love. When I'm working out, there is some music that just gets it done. When I'm getting dressed and I'm going out with my husband, there are some things that just get it done. But when I am in the process of incubation, when I am in the process of really trying to become the person who can step into this moment, I have to be intentional about what I consume. And so, yes, it's worship music, but it's also leadership podcasts. It's also podcasts from therapists and psychotherapists and sermons and having things that sharpen you. You need to be sharpened. And so, this is not to put down anyone's art or creativity at all, because there is a place and space for all of it. But you have to know that that seed of God is so beautiful and so precious and yet so fragile. And if we don't have the proper environment to bring it out, then we will live unfulfilled as our identity, because that seed is connected to who you are.
Yeah, that is so good. And that literally leads me to the book, because I downloaded my 2 chapters last night, right before I went to sleep. I was so excited. And it was one quote. Well, it's a few quotes that I'm going to elaborate on, but one of them that directly correlates with the seed and how important it is you saying it's not just low self-esteem. It's not just a little anxiety or depression. It's not just bitterness. It's a threat to who you are called to be on this earth. When you do not become better, the world cannot become better. Yeah. So you talked about just a minute ago, you did a live and you were talking about your why. Yeah. And you were talking about, with accolades and awards and things like that being tied to it. And with you really realizing that for you, it was really impacting a life, impacting lives. Can you talk a little bit about just your why and why it was important for you to write the book?
Man, yeah, so the Woman Evolve, it's coming out April 6th. And when I was writing the book, I could see the women. We've gone on tour, we've done conferences, like we've seen the women who are called to this message. I do women's conferences. I see your comments. I see you on my page. Like I see you. I see your DMs. I see what you're worried about. I'm interacting with them on the podcast once a week. And I wanted to write a book where God would give me the words to help them break the curses the anxiety, the depression, the fear, the insecurities off of their life. I'm like, God, I can't write this book without you. And you know, every issue that is flooding my inbox and the issues that people are too afraid to send, you know them. And so, God, what do I need to write to help them wake up to who you have called them to be and be empowered to move forward in the direction that you have for them? And so when I wrote that part of the book, it was important for me because we trivialize our pain and we trivialize our issues and we think, okay, I'm not feeling like myself, but that's okay. Well, you haven't been feeling like yourself in years. Okay, it's a little depression, but I'm still functioning. It's not a little depression.
No.
Like, you need therapy. You might need medication. Like, we need to get serious about the barriers that exist within our lives so that we can see who we are supposed to blossom into becoming. That depression could be gone if we get the right tools and to help eradicate it. And I wanted women to stop trivializing their issues so that we could be serious about taking care of who we need to be on the inside so that we can affect change on the outside. I'm seeing the Asian hate that we are experiencing in our country right now. And I've seen so many advocates for Black lives that are speaking out in a fresh way to stand up for those who are experiencing the Asian hate. And I can't help but think how each of us are assigned to not just uplift our community, but to uplift other communities that are experiencing oppression. And let's be 100 about it. This is not just people are mean. People are demon possessed, sent from hell to cause problems here on earth. And we are the answer. Like, when they run up on you, they're going to get sent back to where they came from. Like, that is the type of strength that we need to wake up with every day. So it's not just depression. It's not just anxiety. It's not just bitterness. It's keeping you from feeling like the boss that you're supposed to be in this earth, where I am called to shift something. I'm called to change something. My art is meant to help someone heal. This book is meant to be ministry to someone. This nonprofit is meant to kill homelessness. Like, this is what I'm called to do. And so if I don't get my mind clear, then I don't have enough mental resource and mental capacity to erect the books and the businesses and the ministries and organizations and structures and laws and policy that is meant to change what's happening in the earth. And I need for us to have a direct correlation between who I am on the inside and how I'm showing up on the outside, and how the outside is not becoming better because I haven't fixed first this inside chain of command. And we sent this in our text messages today because we sent out weekly text messages to people, like, heaven is still touching earth because heaven is still touching you. And if heaven is touching you, then hell ought to be sent back to beneath our feet and not showing up on our boulevards and in our homes and in our communities, because you just ran into divinity when you ran into me. So yeah, that's it. I could go on and on about that because I feel very passionately about that.
Absolutely. And talking about yourself and the healing that needs to take place within in order for you to show up the way that you need to show up in the world. And that's really good, because for real, first, for me, it's so funny because when I will go out on tour with you, or even in my day-to-day relationships, so many people talk about how I'm able to pour into them and how I inspire them or motivate them. But one day, I decided, like, I never thought I had a problem with confidence, thought I was full, thought everything was good. And, you know, people do these affirmations, right? They look in the mirror and they tell themselves they're beautiful, and they tell themselves, you know, things about themselves and affirm themselves. And I've never done that before. So I started reading your book for January, okay? Learning to Be. For the book club. Yes, for y'all that don't know, Woman Evolved does have a book club where she reads a different book every month. And I was reading Learning to Be. And one day I was just prompted to stand in front of the mirror. And I stood in front of the mirror first, and all I got out was and couldn't get to love without breaking down. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold up, what's going on? Like, I never knew. And from that moment on, I was on a mission to figure out what that was hidden, that I didn't even know was there, and what healing needed to take place in order for that to happen. And so I want to talk to you about the process of healing. In your book, you said for you, healing began the moment I wanted to rescue myself from who I was not, so that I could discover who I could become. And I felt like that spoke so deeply to me, because as I've been going through the introspective journey and trying to do the work and looking at myself, I'm realizing that I want to be. I want to be who I really know I can be. And I want to put in the work for that to happen. So can we talk about that process? Because it's not just okay, I realized it, I have the awareness, so it's over. Like, it's actually a process. So can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, Kayla, first of all, it takes practice, because I know a version of you that would have never done what we're doing right now.
Right.
And I think that it's so important, and maybe this is more for you than it is for anyone watching, is for you to not miss the moments when you become. Because we're so busy thinking that we're so far from where we should be that we miss the moments when we have stepped into it. And I think it's important for us to see that and to not diminish it, because what we focus on is who we become. And the more that I can bring into my focus what I am doing that looks like who God has called me to be, the more I can continue to pursue that. So when I talk about process with people, I always say, let's start with stop doing what you know you shouldn't do. Okay. Like when you feel conviction, and we know that conviction is that, oh, I shouldn't be doing that. I shouldn't be picking up the phone. I shouldn't be calling this person. I shouldn't be drinking this. I shouldn't be doing that. When you feel this conviction that you shouldn't be doing it, okay, let's start acting on that. That's hard enough for most of us, okay?
Step one.
Like that's step one. Let's not even talk about step two till we master step one, okay? So
Okay.
let's start there. If I can master not doing what I'm not supposed to do, that would be a blessing for me, okay?
Because that's a real thing, though, first.
It's
like,
a real
because
thing.
we really feel like I can still evolve and have love over there. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm aware. I'm working on it. You know what I'm saying? So that's big.
But you know what it is? It's integrity to self. Like when you deny yourself what you know you should not be doing, like I feel like I could say that better. But when you do what you know you're not supposed to do, then you are cheating on the most authentic version of yourself. And if you do not have integrity with what you know, then how can you expect integrity from other people? And how can you act with integrity in your life? So it's like, I'm doing this to build integrity with myself. Like I need to have integrity to my own thoughts, integrity with my own destiny. And so like that step one is so important because it teaches you integrity. And the reason why we have to master integrity in that area is because then we're going to be called to do things that we've never done. So it's like, I need to stop doing what I'm doing now. And then I'm going to be called to do something I've never done before, like doing something like this for you, like starting this blog or writing this book from a place of leadership. And so in order for me to practice my integrity in that area, it bleeds over into integrity into the next. And that process for me started with me, breaking off what I know I shouldn't do, magnifying what I am doing that looks like, that doesn't make me feel like I have conviction connected to it. I feel like I'm in the will of God when I do this, when I'm creating, when I'm writing, when I'm taking care of my children. I feel like I'm in the will of God. So let me stay in that place. And then there's creativity connected to that. And being honest and true to that space allows us to build from there.
That is good. That is good. So integrity and being honest with yourself, like starting right there.
The other thing I will say is this, and I talk about this in the book, is that like when we make a shift in our lives, I feel like it's important that we shift not for an outcome, but that we marry a process. Because a lot of times we're only committed to the point of the outcome. Yeah. And not to the process. And so we're frustrated when it feels like the outcome is further and further away, or we achieve the outcome and we don't know what to do after that. What we need to do is be committed to the process. I'm in the process of becoming, and this is a long haul venture. This is not a temporary fix. This is not a diet plan so that I can fit into a dress. This is me stepping into the discipline of becoming who I need to be. And so my commitment is to the process, not the outcome. The outcome is the natural byproduct of the decisions that I've made to show up in this process. And so I'm not moved by whether or not the outcome happens in the time that I want, because at the end of the the day, what's most important to me is the process. That's why when you make a decision to eat healthy and you don't have a 6-pack next week, you don't give up, because at the end of the day, I'm in it for a process. That's why they try to tell us that it's a lifestyle, not a diet. Now, it is a diet for me. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you. It is a diet for me. But the reason why they say that is because they want you to commit to a process and not an outcome.
Absolutely. And I mean, that leads you to woman evolve. Evolution is constant. It's constantly happening. So even that was so good. Like the fact that we're looking at a destination or believing that I'm going to get there wherever there is. And it's a constant evolution of growth. And even where you get to where you might desire, there's still more for you to do in your obedience.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I feel like the process perspective is important, because when we have an outcome in mind, it's like our willpower is temporary. Our discipline is temporary. But when it's like, what are you willing to be in process for the rest of your life? What is it that you want to be in process for? Like, what is worth a lifetime of process? Well, that changes what I'm willing to sign up for. Like, okay.
Oh, that is so good. That is so good. Because for real, it does. Because that weariness, that weariness comes into play if you think that you're focused on the one thing, baby girl, because it's a constant. I know. So for anyone that is joining us that doesn't know about your love affair with Eve, I know that sounds a little weird.
Yeah, it does sound strange.
That don't know about it. But when I was reading the book, you talked about Eve's entrance into the world, right? And it was so beautiful. I have to share it with everybody that's watching, because you said it felt like the woman was late to a party that had been going on for hours. Her delayed entrance into the world meant she would have to catch up from last place while somehow exhibiting a confidence that relayed she deserved to be first. You better be poetic. It was so, but it was so good. So for you, like, even when I listened to that, like showing up late to the party, you know, still expected to carry this confidence and be able to take on, you know, what she had entered into. How would that translate over to you? I know with you walking into so many things that was uncharted territory, even coming into our church and, you know, starting Woman Evolve and doing all of these things, like evolving with us. Like, talk about how some of that has translated over into your life.
Oh man. So in many ways, I feel like this book for me is like showing up to a party late and, you know, supposed to be showing up with the confidence like you've been there before. I've never released a book that has this much influence connected to it. I've never done it. Anytime I've written a book before, I felt been somewhat underestimated. Like, people didn't really know who I was. They didn't really know what to think of me. And that was so beautiful to be underestimated in that way, because you can't really fail when you're underestimated. Right. There's not much of an expectation, because it's like, the bar is already somewhat low. So it's like, from here, you know, anything is up from here. And yet this book, because I have been speaking more, because Woman Evolve does exist, there is an expectation connected to it, even from, I think, how I'm supposed to be speaking about it and how many pre-order numbers. And I'm talking more back end right now. Like, there's a certain amount of pre-order numbers we should have. There's a certain amount of influence this book should have. And, you know, I'm supposed to be showing up like I got this, and I'm still learning in the process. And so what I have done to neutralize that tension is to not show up as anything other than I am, because we can fall into this trap where if everyone expects us to have it all together, that we want to meet those people's expectations. Well, I've tried to neutralize that by saying instead to my community, to my publishers, to the people connected to this movement, like, I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like
you
I don't know what I'm doing.
Always say that. It is so funny.
I don't.
I need y'all to know this whole movement of Woman
I don't
Evolve
know what I'm doing.
Started out with, I'm just doing stuff.
I'm just doing stuff. This is what I be telling people all the time. It's like, I'm just doing stuff. Like, you know, when we did Refuse to Lose, and I was like, and we gonna have boxing gloves, and we gonna do this. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I'm just doing stuff. I'm just seeing what happens when I do stuff. And, you know, so I wrote the book, and I'm writing the book, and I'm posting, and I'm going on IG Live. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm doing what I think what I'm supposed to do, you know.
And then people want you to like, they want you to like take your I don't know what I'm doing and I'm just doing stuff and make it seem like I knew what I was doing all along the way, and I'm not gonna do you like that. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing.
Listen, and that's what's so beautiful, because so often we're scared to step out because we don't know what we're doing.
Your girl don't know what she, but you know, nothing fixes just like parenting. Because if you have kids, sometimes like I get my parents so much now, because like I can just see how when they were raising me, like y'all didn't know what y'all was doing.
No,
y'all don't know what you're doing. You're children yourself. I'm still, sometimes I want to tell my kids, like, I'm a kid. Do you understand that? I don't know what I'm doing.
Straight up, I tell them all the time, like, we learn it together. And I can be honest, like with my kids, I'm very transparent. Okay, like we are growing together. We are, and mommy's trying the best she can, you know. And I think, you know, even with talking with my kids, because in being authentic, in being just honest, it's so much impact. Because even with my daughter, like she's just like, Mommy, I'm so proud of you. Mommy, you can do it. Because I tell her, right, I'm so scared. I'm with your auntie Sarah, and I know you think she auntie, but Mommy's scared. You know what I'm saying? You know, it is just pushing through. And I think it speaks to just us overcoming our fears and doing it in front of our kids. You know, allowing them to be able to see us do it scared, you know, that it makes such a huge impact, you know.
People need to know that. People need to know that, like, we just out here doing stuff. You know what I mean? And it just happened to work. I feel like, and that's why I think if we really took that seriously, like, I see people creating from, like, the Oprahs to the Beyonce. Like, when Oprah started that network, like, I am convinced in my mind, like, she knew what she was doing, but she did it anyway. Like, she learned, and she has said this, that she thought when she launched the network that she didn't know how much it was going to take, and she had to revamp and restructure. And when Beyonce talks about Lemonade, she talks about how she was just doing stuff. Like, formation is like doing stuff. And like, y'all just get out here and do stuff that you feel like God is telling you to do. The emphasis on God, don't just be out here doing anything. Okay, just do out here doing the right stuff. Be doing the right stuff. And then just trust that God's going to give you lessons along the way and alignment along the way, but just be out here doing stuff.
Absolutely. And one thing about your doing stuff, though, you do stuff that you would want to do.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
You know, when you did the conference, it's like you were really big on it being a conference that you would really want to show up to and go to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, even with Woman Evolve and the clothing line, like, you love clothes.
Yeah.
Like, you love, you know, the streaming network. You have content that appeals to things that, you know, can help you out, your younger self, things like that. So even for people watching, if you just start with the things that you want to see, that you haven't seen. You know, for me, starting my blog was like therapeutic for me, because it was like I just needed somewhere where I could just write. And I'm pretty, you know, honest, you know. I think people would say I'm a little transparent. And so I was like, let me just find a place where I can just share. Because through Woman Evolve, I've grown so much through listening to testimonies of other women and watching women persevere. And it's like, if what I'm going through right now, I know it's so many moms that are out here, or wives that have suppressed their dreams, their goals, and they're just assuming the role of a mom and a wife, assuming like that's all that there is to do. And there's so much more beyond that I learned just from watching you. And I'm so excited that, you know, you're leading a movement, because we get a chance to see thousands of women take that next step. You know, the things that you've done for my life, that's going to happen all over the world. It's already happening. But with the book coming out, like, just reading the first 2 chapters, I'm like, yo, she's dropping every gem that we could possibly, because it's not just you talking. Like, it's you, like, giving us reflection questions. Like, I'm in the first chapter, second chapter, I'm already like, oh, I'm in my journal, you know, because it's like, these are things that I need too, as we are evolving. It's not just, oh, I evolved. Let me tell you how I did this. I'm evolving. Let's do it together, right? Like, these are the things that I'm learning. Let's do it together. So I have to just touch base real quick on my friend Eve.
Okay. Let's talk about her.
So, and it's actually the part in the book where you introduce my friend Eve. First off, the story says,
you know?
It was so beautifully written. I'm like, yo, I need to hear the audio for this. Like, I need to hear her reading this to me because it was so beautifully written. Like, seriously, like, let's just take a moment for that. You talking about the story was so poetic and beautiful. I felt like I was going into a story or a fairy tale. Like, I felt like I was in the garden with her. And with that, I know, like I said, I was reading it and I'm like, oh, I wish I could just hear her read this to me. I think I heard on the block for this book. Did you do an audio version?
Yes, I did the audio book for this book.
So let's talk about that. Is this your first time doing an audio book?
I did the audiobook for Lost and Found. I didn't do it for Don't Settle for Safe, but I did it for this because I felt like it was important that my voice really be connected to it. And that part that you're talking about in the book was my first time. That was the first thing I ever wrote for Woman Evolve. Like when I said I want to write a book for Woman Evolve, like the first thing that came to mind is like to just make this case for Eve, to make everyone understand what it was like to be Eve. And so it's very much so like it almost reads like a fiction. It's kind of like poetic fiction storytelling. That's the part that I'm actually like feeling the most vulnerable about because it is so different than what I think people are going to expect from the book. But it was just the only way that I saw Eve. Like when my paradigm changed on Eve, that's the only way I saw it. So yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that. Means a lot to me.
Oh my gosh, just as an author, as a writer, it was so beautifully written. Seriously, like I was just reading like, oh my gosh, and it really did take me there. So for someone that, you know, I know most of your writing is very like relatable and conversational, but sis, I'm saying like, you know, future books, you know, I don't know if it's always going to be self-help or maybe you'll take us through a fictional journey one day. I don't know. But speaking of that, with you being the pastor, the wife, the mom, the author, the entrepreneur, what is next, sis? I know you say you just be doing stuff.
I just
so
be doing stuff.
What is anything that you're thinking about doing outside of what you're already doing?
You know, I'm thinking about starting a wig line. Once again, me just doing stuff, just out here doing stuff. You know,
do you do things? Okay, for real. First, I need to know. Like, do you really be like, Kayla would love this. Let me do it. Like, I just want to know because, like, straight up, like, you feeding my spirit, sis. It's one thing to talk to my heart, but, like, you talking to all of it. The wigs, come on.
You know, I just want to help people. I just want to help people be great out here. You know, God be helping me know where the plugs are on the wigs. And I just and I share my plugs. I'm not one to keep it to myself, you know.
You do.
I share the plugs on the wig. And then I'm like, what if I became the plug for the wig? I don't know. I'm just doing stuff. Okay?
I'm just saying, we here for it. It looks like they are here for it. Like I'm
no, but listen, somebody said please don't have them $1,000. I'm not gonna have no $1,000 wig. I'm not going to have no $1,000 wig. I'm going to make sure that these wigs have us looking appropriate. It's going to give us scalpish, but it ain't going to give us brokish. Okay? God has not called us to be broke with a lace front. I don't believe that my God wants that for us. He wants us to have all of the things and the coins.
Absolutely. He wants us to keep the edges.
Indeed.
Yes. Well, I have to just tell you right now, I know the interview is winding down. However, I just want to say there's a quote. And I want to put this out here right now for everybody that's live, okay? Because I think there's a shirt that needs to be made. But it's going to be through Woman Evolve, not y'all. You ready?
Okay.
This is a shirt quote, y'all. If we can get to the root, we can change the fruit, baby. If we can get to the root, we can change the fruit. You heard it here first, Woman Evolve only. That right there, that is the quote. That is what I wrote on my mirror. This morning, I wrote it on my mirror so that every day I look at that. Because it's so important that if we really can change what's deep down on the inside, then we really can change the outcome and what happens and manifests in life. So I'm so excited. Before we end, you know, in true Kayla form, we got to play a game. Like,
let's do it. I love games.
Come on. All right. So the first one is just 5 random questions. Just right off the top of your head, random questions.
Okay.
You ready?
I don't know.
You're ready. Here we go. First thing, morning ritual. What is it?
I drink aloe, warm water, and lemon, and I pray and meditate every morning, every single morning. Like that is my way of setting my tone and intention for the day.
I know this is supposed to be like fast, but I need to ask a few questions about that aloe and lemon. Is that doing something for the inside, sis?
It
Let me
is.
know so I can add that to the repertoire.
It
Which
is.
one
I'll send it to you.
Okay, perfect. All right, y'all hear that? Aloe lemon. Let's add that. All right, we're trying to do better 2021. All right, next. Favorite musician of all time?
You know, Kayla, first I'm going to get you for this.
I'll say mine, Beyonce. Okay, now you go.
You know, it's Beyonce. You know, like there's so many reasons. You know, I mean, we're talking greatest artist of all time. Y'all didn't ask me greatest worship leader of all time.
Right.
But like she just, I don't know if it's the age thing for me, but like I feel like we grew up together and I just saw her just for in every season, in every way, in every slay, and just the creativity and the 808s and just, you know, there was I feel like we went through our ratchet stage together in self-titled. Yes. And, you know, with partition and stuff. I feel like, you know, Pretty Hurts. I feel like we went through our ratchet stage together, but then I feel like, you know what, we decided to not go through that stage anymore as well, and to grow up, you know. So that's all right. That's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right.
Overall, her artistry is undeniable.
Yeah, I'm talking about the artistry. Now, you know, worship leader, you know, I don't know that I would, you know, I'm not saying that she's a worship leader. I have never seen her worship before. I can't speak to that.
Oh, I have. She got, hallelujah, you've been so good to me.
Kayla, what?
Sorry, British, Dana, everybody that's out here, y'all know I don't sing.
Kayla, what is happening? What is happening? What was that? Where did you see that?
She got a song, sis. I'm gonna send it to you. It's with Destiny's Child. It's a medley. It's a gospel medley. It's okay. We're gonna keep moving. I'm gonna send it to you when we off. Next question. Favorite TV show?
The Office. The Office.
That is so you. That is so you. Oh my God.
I have such a dry sense of humor. I love The Office.
Dry humor. That is so you. I love it. Okay. What fills you up?
Sleep. Sleep. I love sleep. It's amazing. I'm a better person when I sleep.
Yeah. Last one. What makes you feel sexy?
Oh, come on. Sleep. Sleep.
Straight up, sis, gotta get that sleep. Period.
That's it. That's it. I could become anything you need me to become with some rest, but that's it.
Sis be busy. I'm telling you.
I'm tired. When I'm not tired, I got you. But from there, you know, anything.
Oh my God. Okay. Do I got room for one more?
Go for it.
Okay, perfect. This one, you know I love music. Okay. So I'm getting ready to play a song. Throwback. Okay? It's going to take you back to...
Are you going to sing it? Or are you going to play it?
No, okay. If I sing it, you won't know what it is.
Okay.
About the medley. I'm going to play it for you. When you hear it, I want you to take yourself back to when this song came out. Either tell me where were you when you first heard it, or tell me the first memory that's attached to it.
Okay, let's go.
All right, you ready? Here we go. All right. I started in the middle of the song so that you knew what it was. Okay, here we go.
All right.
1999. Where were you?
I was in my family room in Dallas with my sister ordering this video on the box over and over again. Do you remember the channel?
Yes,
the box.
The box. Talk about the box.
There. Okay, that's what was happening.
I love it. That's good stuff. This was so good, FL.
I love
It was
you. This was
so
so
good.
much fun.
It was great talking to you. Everybody, this is my FL, okay? Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts. If you do not already pre-order the book, you better get to it. Woman Evolve, breaking up with your fears and revolutionizing your life. It will be out April 6th.
April 6th.
April 6th, but you can pre-order now. And it's on Amazon.
Also, if I can say, you guys need to follow Kayla. Kayla is the official host of All Things Woman Evolve. If you've ever been to a Woman Evolve event, you know Kayla. If you have not been to an event and this is your first time being introduced to her, she is an incredible soul, a beautiful light. Follow her. She's on this journey. She's stepping into this next dimension of who she is. She's leading us all along the way, but grabbing our hands in the process. I am so proud of you. I'm praying for you as you step into this. It's going to be amazing. What you see with her is what you get. So prepare to laugh, be changed, and transformed along the way. I love you so much.
I love you so much more, FL. Thank you.
My pleasure.
See you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.